was a working holiday. He worked at a ski resort, then he spent 4 months in homestay, and then finally in a share house situation in Tokyo. You'll tell us about that. And now he's tutoring or participating in the Japanese English Conversation Club at the Nika Center. So that's the application there. So let's welcome Joseph.
It's an autumn afternoon. You're inside your car, the family car. You smell that familiar smell that only your family car seems to have. You feel the seatbelt across your chest. And out the window, you see the home you grew up in your hometown. And as you drive off, that gush of wind from the car blows the vivid array of maple leaves that have scattered the ground. And you say goodbye to the home that you've grown up in and the life that you once knew. That's where my story begins, as a small town boy. Now, like I said, I'm a small town boy. I come from this small northern town of Terrace, BC. And with that, I think there's a lot of expectations that we have. When you come from a small town, you're not expected to be very culturally educated. There's not much diversity expected of you. But I think that was an advantage to me. And I hope that perspective will be an advantage to you if you come from a small town like I did. So like I said, that vivid array of red maple leaves that you're growing accustomed to, picture that. You're up in the highest branch and you're comfortable there. You see the world around you as you've always seen it. But at some point, the colors of the leaves change and you take a plunge. And uncertainty overcomes you. So I experienced that when I moved to Watson. I came without knowing anybody. I came without knowing what situation I was going to. But the one thing that really helped me along in that point was I found my trusty guide, Japanese. So I started high school. I said, yes, I will take Japanese. That's crazy that you have this at high school. I've never seen any languages other than French offered. Give me that chance. I'm going to take it right now. And I had a lot of enthusiasm in the start, but I will admit, I fell out with enthusiasm too. And throughout high school, I didn't always have the same focus and passion for Japanese that I would have liked to have had. But I came back to it. After graduating high school, Japanese and we had a little distance between each other. Good friends. There's a point in your lives when you disconnect and you go your separate ways. But if you are really close friends, when you come back to each other, it's like a whole renewal. So I took that chance and I said, Japan is going to be my place for renewal. That's going to be my place to redefine who I am, and to redefine the way I see the world, and also give me a chance to connect to people that I would never get a chance to in English. So that's when my leaf, falling from that Canadian maple, landed in Japan. Now, when you see this image, does it not evoke feelings of beauty and grace and wonderment? Because that's what you experience when you go to another country, and especially if you're learning a language. You're especially curious, you're especially inquisitive, and that's the way I was. But at the same time, when I arrived at that ski resort, I spoke to all the bosses at the ski resort, introducing myself. And there was a moment when I actually stood there listening to a conversation from the president, the owner of the ski resort. And I looked at him with a blank stare. And what he said to me was, oh, you have a really long way to go. I mean, your Japanese is at a very basic level. And I turned to my friend and so what did he say? So I was at the lowest branch of this Japanese maple tree. It was a new variety, a new species of leaves that I was surrounded by. It's a little bit humbling, but it's necessary if you're going to be really serious about learning a language. And once again, autumn came around, the colors of the leaves were all changing, and whether I was ready for it or not, I fell from that Japanese maple. And along the way, I had a lot of doubts, not knowing where I was going to land. At times I would say to myself, I'm not supposed to be here. Can anyone relate to that feeling? How did I manage to get this far? How have I fooled everybody around me? I'm not supposed to be here. But with that, it also came an acceptance of mistakes, and a lot of people have mentioned that today. And the important thing is, when learning a language, you gotta make mistakes worth making. The first time I went bowling in Japan, I went out with all my Japanese colleagues at the ski resort. And I was trying to express, oh, that was such a close strike, oh, you almost had it. And I said, chikai. And that in Japanese means near. And I made the mistake, and I looked a little bit foolish, and they kind of laughed, and they corrected me, and they said, oh, no, you mean oshi. I was like, yes! I'll never forget the context, I remember that. That phrase is now fully ingrained into my mind. And that's something that's totally necessary when you take that plunge, and you're falling from that leaf, that maple tree again. Now, with this humility that I found, and I'm sure if you've experienced going to a new country, learning a new language, you can relate to this feeling. You may get comfortable, but at some point, you're going to see someone that you admire so much, and you feel like, wow, I still have so far to go. One of those people that I really admire closely was my friend Nick. He's half Japanese. He spent a year studying at a Japanese university. And he spoke Japanese at home with his Japanese mother. Now, he even understood Japanese jokes and humor, like we said, like Shori mentioned earlier in the presentation. It's one of the most difficult things to understand when learning a new language. But even he said to me, there's never a point where I reach that I say, this Japanese is enough. I have nowhere else to go with it. So even those people we fully admire and say, look how far they've come, they still look at other people and say, well look, I still have so far to go. But once again, I landed. I made it. And this feeling of acceptance, this coming of my own voice coming through the Japanese. When you first start learning a language, a lot of it's borrowed phrases, copied sentences out of your textbook. It's not really reflective of who you are. You can't really incorporate much of your personality. But you keep pushing through that, and eventually, expression at last. If I allowed you to read the love letters that I've written to my Japanese girlfriend, I would be terribly embarrassed for the cheesy stuff I say in Japanese. But it's just because I can say it in another language. It's a different part of me. It's a different color. And Japan and Japanese has fully colored me in vivid hues of Japanese. Something that would have never happened had I not finally pushed through those hesitations, all the I'm not enough, I'm not supposed to be here. If I hadn't persisted through that, I wouldn't even be able to talk about this comfortably in front of you. Not comfortably. I'm still nervous. That's the next point I want to get to. I'm not special. I learned it just like you will. There's nothing that distinguishes me from all of you who are out there learning a new language or trying to learn about a new culture, other than the fact that I put the time in. You can learn it too. Just as I've learned how to work on my public speaking skills, and to be able to present in front of you. It's not a natural ability. I fully dedicated and made it a priority. And that's something that's so essential when you're learning a new language. So when you get through all this, and you accept that you have to be vulnerable, you have to make those mistakes and look foolish from time to time, what do you get?
A bouquet of flowers. Or leaves.
Very close. A bouquet of leaves, exactly. You get a multitude, an array of different species of maple leaves. Japanese, Canadian, all different hues and all different shades. I challenge you, if you have any hesitations with your language studies and interculturalism, learning about other cultures, going traveling, please just embrace this one virtue. Be colorful. There's one message I want to leave with you tonight, or this afternoon. It's be colorful.
Thank you very much. You can certainly tell that he has put in the time, both in public speaking and in language learning.
I'm not special. I've learned it.
No, thank you very much. And I think our next presenter, Matthew, it will be a direct link to what he's going